minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Cochran, thank you for being here. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your story. I wasn't able to, we got two committees going on, so I wasn't able to listen to your testimony, but I read through your written testimony of overcoming poverty. Your faith inspired you to achieve the things that you did, according to your testimony here. I just want to run back through a few things. You were appointed by the President to be U.S. Fire Administrator for the United States Fire Administration back in 2009. Is that right?
That's correct, Mr.
And that requires a confirmation hearing or some kind of hearing?
Yes, sir. It was a Senate confirmation hearing by the Homeland Security Committee.
And what was the vote there?
It was a unanimous vote.
All right. And then you did that for a while, then went back to the city of Atlanta to become fire chief, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were, according to your written test, I was nationally recognized Fire Chief of the Year in 2012?
That's correct, sir.
Anything in your background ever, in your work history, your job, your evaluations, the things that happen each year when you're in this kind of line of work, same kind of things that happen around here, ever have a negative on your employment record or anything like that?
No, sir. By the grace of God, there's never been any negative reflections throughout my career.
Then you wrote a book, right?
That's correct.
You wrote a book talking about how your faith helped you achieve the things that you were able to achieve and how it was such an inspiration and so helpful in your life, overcoming some of the obstacles you had to overcome. Is that right?
That was part of it, yes, sir.
All right. And then what happened?
Well, a year after the book was published, it was discovered that I had written a small portion of the book about biblical sexuality and marriage. Those few paragraphs were shared with the city of Atlanta, which subsequently led to my 30-day suspension without pay. During that 30-day suspension, the city launched an investigation.
What did the investigation find?
That I had never discriminated against anyone throughout my career, and certainly not a member of the LGBT.
Isn't it true in that investigation there was a quote, no interviewed witness could point to any specific instance in which any member of the organization had been treated unfairly by you. Is that right?
That's correct, sir.
So they did this, they find out you write something, they suspend you, they do an investigation, and they find you did nothing wrong.
That's
you got
correct.
this outstanding record, confirmed by the U.S. Senate unanimously. President appoints you fire chief. You're fire chief of the year in 2012, and then you got fired?
That's correct.
You got fired. And here's what the city council, Atlanta City Council member Alex Swan said, according to your testimony. I respect each individual's right to have their own thoughts, beliefs, and opinions. But when you're a city employee, those thoughts, beliefs, and opinions are different from the city's. You have to check them at the door.
That's correct, sir.
I'll tell you, Mr. Chairman, that is exactly why we have a First Amendment. You do not have to check your beliefs, right? That's what this country is about. When you talk about the First Amendment, you have to check your beliefs at the door? Are you kidding me? That's why this bill is so important. That's why Senator Lee and Representative Labrador brought this bill and why it's so important. Because people like Mr. Cochran, they shouldn't have to check their beliefs at the door. Here's a guy who did nothing wrong, believed in strongly held religious beliefs that he says, as he says in his testimony, that Christians have held for a couple thousand years. And the city council member says you have to check him at the door. That's why we're having this hearing. That's why this legislation needs to pass. And that's why people like Mr. Cochran are heroes for his whole life experience, but certainly for standing up for the fact that you don't have to check your religious beliefs at the door. With that, Mr. Chairman, I would yield back.
I thank the gentleman. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from New York, Ms. Maloney, for 5 minutes.